Hey y'all, it's Nat, and today we are going to be talking about my reading goals for the rest of the year. We will start with a little bit of a wrap up of my quarter 2 reading goals. I obviously did not do quarter 3 reading goals because I was very unwell. So there's nothing to wrap up for quarter 3, but we'll talk about the goals that I set for quarter 2 before we get into my goals for the rest of the year. So the first thing I think I talked about in my last reading goals video was my new book buying ban strategy, where basically if I buy books, I have to read twice the amount of books off my physical TBR before I can buy more books. But I like this strategy because it's forcing me to actually prioritize my physical TBR. Whereas before book buying bans, like I would just buy a bunch of books, right? Go on a book buying ban for several months. And in that time, not really read that many books off of my physical TBR. And so the next time I bought a bunch of books, I was just adding to it and I wasn't really making a dent. And I do have my bookshelves currently organized in a way that's also supposed to help me prioritize my physical TBR. We'll get into that in a bit because that has to do with the goals that I'm setting for the rest of the year. But yeah, I like this. This is working for me. I think this makes sense. And I keep track in my Notion of like what books I have acquired and what books I've read to offset the books that I've acquired. And it's working for me so far. I'm really happy with the amount of books that I've read off my physical TBR this year. I think I'm going to keep carrying this goal into like the rest of my life, honestly. I think that's a great way for me personally to approach a book buying ban. So the next goal that I had was to read the Greenbone Saga. I've read the first 2 books, but I have not gotten to Jade Legacy yet, just because it's a combination of chronic illness and my library loan on the audio coming in. I'm just waiting for the audiobook hold to come in from my library, and then I will finally finish the series. But I've been loving it so far. I did finish the Gilded Wolves trilogy and I loved it. I'm so glad that I finally got around to finishing that. And same thing with the Ember and the Ashes series. I obviously don't own all 4 books. I just own the first 2 books in their original covers. And so I don't know which copies I want to own all 4 books, but I don't know which copies I'm going to get yet. I did read the These Witches Don't Burn duology. I did enjoy it more than I thought I would. I don't typically love like high school setting type books, and this is a low fantasy with characters that are in high school, and I personally just don't like to go back to that high school headspace. I only do it if it's like a book that has representation that I didn't get when I was in high school reading these kinds of books. So in this case, sapphic relationship. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, but yeah, it didn't stick with me. Same thing, unfortunately, for the Brilliant Death duology, which I did finish. I had high hopes for this one for it being an Italian-inspired fantasy with queer rep. I was so excited for it, and I don't remember much of it. Didn't stick with me. And so I am pretty bummed about that, and I'm still looking for like an all-time favorite Italian-inspired fantasy, bonus points if it has queer rep. So if anybody has recommendations, I already know about Kingdom of the Wicked. I've read the first book. It was in my evolution of my annotation system video. I enjoy those books, but they're not all-time favorites. And what I enjoy about those books has nothing to do with it being set in 19th century Sicily, because it doesn't really feel like it is. To be honest. I wish she had just decided to do like an Italian inspired fantasy, like not something that was set in Italy, because I don't think that setting is one of her greatest strengths. And I think that maybe it being like an Italian inspired world might have forced her to try and put more into the setting. But yeah, so I know about Kingdom of the Wicked and I know about This Vicious Grace. If anybody has any recommendations for other Italian-inspired fantasy, let me know. My last goal, I think, was that I was going to do like 2 to 3 book club picks each month, and I don't think I'm going to carry this goal over into quarter 4 just because I have been having a lot of trouble keeping up with the book clubs lately, just because I have been trying to prioritize my physical TBR, and a lot of those book club picks end up not being on my physical TBR. I know I do still want to read the Enby book club pick for November, and I think the House Salt November pick is blood marked, so I want to read that as well. So I'll keep an eye on like what the book club picks are, but I don't really think I want to carry over this goal into quarter 4. I did read Lake Lore and Empire of Sand. and I loved those books, and I loved the discussions that we had around those books in the like live shows for those book clubs. But yeah, this is a goal that's been a little bit difficult for me to kind of keep on top of lately. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on the book clubs and just do them as I feel like it. So let's talk a little bit about how I organize my bookshelves, because it has to do with how I decided what my goals are going to be for the rest of the year. Basically, the shelves look a little bit different now than they did when I first organized them. The way I originally had them was I had each row alternating pages out, spines out, pages out, spines out. The main reason for this being that I wanted my rainbow bookshelf, but also because I do this like physical TBR tracking method of if it's pages out, it's on my TBR. If it's spines out, it means I've read it. However, the way I was organizing the spines out shelves had to do more so with keeping series together than necessarily it being shelves that were entirely dedicated to books that I had already read. So for example, I had my adult fantasy shelf, which had some books that I had already read and some books that I hadn't, but they were all spines out. Or I had my, what used to be my Leigh Bardugo and Carrie Maniscalco shelf, just because I had a lot of their books, so I could only fit all of their books on that one shelf. But then I had to switch things around to accommodate books that I got from book boxes. So like my shelves have changed a little bit. The pages out shelves have not changed. The spines out shelves have changed so that I can accommodate. Like when I got the Fairy Loot editions of the Diviner series, I had to move things around. So over time, the spines out shelves became less and less books that I had already read. And a lot of those TBR books were kind of getting lost in the mix with the books that I had read, because like they were all spines out and I wasn't remembering that those were books I still needed to read. So I switched it back to all of these shelves. If the pages are out, that book is on my TBR. Now, this organization system isn't for everybody. I have organized this in a way that I know how to find any book that I'm looking for. And I also have a database of like all of the books that I own on my Notion, so that helps as well. So if any of y'all would like to see a more in-depth video on how I organize my shelves and how I organize them in a way where I know where everything is, let me know. But without further ado, I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show y'all the shelves that I will be prioritizing for the rest of the year. So the first shelf that I want to prioritize is this adult fantasy shelf. It's mostly adult fantasy. I do need to finish Jade Legacy, Vengeful, and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and then this shelf will be back to a spines out shelf. So that's easy. Only 3 books. Easy. The second shelf I will be prioritizing is this YA fantasy shelf. Again, might not be entirely YA fantasy. It might be, but I don't know for sure. But it's at least mostly. This is the Diviner series. I will be reading this series entirely this month, and once I am done with that, there will only be 5 books left, pages out, on this shelf. That right here is The Girl the Sea Gave Back. This is Fable, both by Adrienne Young. Those are short books, so they're doable. Then we have Spin the Dawn, Unravel the Dusk, I think is the name of the sequel, and then Six Crimson Cranes, all by Elizabeth Lim. Yes, I do have 2 copies of Six Crimson Cranes. Only one of them is pages out because it's not like I'm going to be reading both copies. I'm just going to be reading the one. So those are the 2 shelves that I will be prioritizing for the rest of the year. If I happen to finish both of those shelves, then I will move on to this YA shelf. We have up here, This Woven Kingdom. Then we have Iron Widow. I'm blanking on the title for this one, but it's the sequel to A Song of Race and Ruin. The Rose and the Dagger, The Queen's Resistance, Kingsbane. This is a sequel to The Kiss of Deception that I'm blanking on the name of right now. And then we have Where Dreams Descend. It's another edition. Again, only 1 copy needs to be pages out. And then we have When Night Breaks. And after that, I will be prioritizing finishing up my Rick Riordan shelf. The reason I'm not prioritizing this right now, because you see there's only 3 books pages out down here, but one of those books is the 4th book in the Trials of Apollo series, and once I finish that book, I'm going to want to read the 5th book. And one of those books is the 1st book in the Magnus Chase series. So once I finish that, I'm going to want to read the 2nd and 3rd book. So this isn't really 3 books, it's actually 6. And then after that, I'll work on this shelf maybe. This is the Carrie Maniscalco and Leigh Bardugo shelf, plus a little bit of Madeline Miller and Rebecca Ross. Now, I do still want to be reading books off of the original physical TBR shelves. There are still books on this rainbow bookshelf that I need to get to. I have read some of the books that have the rainbow sprayed edges. I don't put those spines out even if I have read them, because the purpose of the rainbow shelves is to see the rainbow sprayed edges. So every once in a while, I'm just going to check and see if there's a book on this shelf that I want to read, and that will be that. So I'll still be reading books off of those pages out shelves, but we're going to try and prioritize making these entirely spined out again. And yeah, this one, and then that, and then that, and then that. Editing that, I am so sorry if this triggers your migraines. Hopefully it doesn't. But yeah, let's go back to my face. So yeah, working towards getting those spines out shelves back to being entirely spines out shelves, the main goal for the rest of the year. I'm not going to get them all back to being spines out, but those 2 shelves are the main goal, and then the rest of them are stretch goals. I do still want to read books off of the other shelves. I'm a mood reader. It's hard to set goals around reading specific books. That's why I wanted to just have like those 2 shelves be my main goal. Then the rest can just be a bonus if I'm able to get to those. I don't really have any other goals besides that. We could do like I'll update y'all on my Storygraph goals and where we're at. I'm looking at it on my iPad right now. I always set my yearly reading goal for 52. I don't ever change that, even if I go above it. But currently I am ahead by 7 books. I've read 46 books this year, so I'm happy about that considering how my health has been. This is my first year setting a yearly pages goal. So I didn't know what to put. I put 10,000 just to put a number. And right now I'm at 17,228 pages. So what I think I'm going to do is once I hit the 52 books goal, wherever I'm at pages wise there, that'll become the benchmark for the yearly pages goal. So that's where we're at, and that's where we're going for the rest of the year. That's it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments if y'all have any reading goals for the rest of the year, or if you're just going to take it easy. Do you have specific books you want to read before the year's over, or do you have more general goals? Where are y'all at with your reading challenges? Yeah, let me know. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, make sure to click that subscribe button as well. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!